Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So the RNC has come to a close, and that was a great event, a great 4 days making the case for Donald Trump and why he should be the Republican nominee. The GOP is more united than they have ever been. Donald Trump is polling higher than he's ever been, and the Democrats are in utter disarray and cope mode. A glorious day, just 3.5 months away from the 2024 presidential election. Early ballots going out in less than 2 months in some places. I mean, we are in for a fun ride, but it's really ramping up. If we weren't already in election season, we're definitely in the peak of election season, and it's only going to go up from here. But Donald Trump, we heard, Trump was only polling high because people, were not really seeing him a lot in the media. And we were told that if they see him again, then, they're going to have a negative view of him and Biden's going to win. No, the opposite has literally happened. The opposite has literally happened. And as much as people want to say, Biden's imploding, it's also Donald Trump is doing the opposite. And he's been measured. He's been on message. We'll talk about his speech. Some people will critique certain aspects of it, and we'll get to that. But overall, this convention was a massive boost and benefit to him. And it comes at a time when he was already leading in the polls by 3 percentage points before the convention, before it even started, before he had his VP pick. And we'll talk about some of the polling about that because it looks a lot better than a lot of people originally anticipated, myself included, by the way. But you're looking at this, Donald Trump leading Joe Biden by 3 points. And again, this was basically entirely, except the CBS News poll, which is kind of from the middle of the convention, and it shows Trump with a sizable boost. It's all post or pre-convention. A lot of it is pre-incident that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania as well. And everything just seems to be giving Donald Trump a lot of momentum. He took the lead in Virginia. I don't know why it's not on the swing state panel, but you have states like Arizona. He's putting it away. Pennsylvania kind of getting close to putting it away too. Democrats, this is partially why they're really reconsidering Biden. And we're going to get into some of the analysis from the speech, but I do want to talk about Polymarket, about how Biden just has a 6% chance at winning the presidential election. And personally, as much as the writing may be on the wall that Democrats and many Democrats are calling for him to move on, it just seems as if they're not going to be able to get him out of the way. And I feel like if you look at the betting markets, it's like free money, dollars on sale for 23 cents. But Biden when you look at this, even head-to-head against Trump, if he is the nominee, 23% shot at victory. That's not really all that great. And betting markets probably are going to be a little bit more bullish on him than anything else, given, the head-to-head matchup, just because people are possibly going to gamble on something that, may not be favored to happen, but maybe they want it to happen. Either way, Donald Trump, as things stand today, is like an 80% favorite, and I don't think it matters who the nominee is or whoever the nominee chooses to be the VP. I think that probably matters least of all at this point. But Kamala Harris meeting with donors today saying that it's something I feel that you should strongly hear and take with you when you leave. We're going to win this election. We're going to win, saying she's going to want to run with Biden. Biden and his family, they're very upset because Obama is not coming out and defending him, and all these Democrats in the Senate want him to step down. Sherrod Brown coming forward trying to save his political career, which either way, it really doesn't matter who the nominee is. I think that he's not exactly going to be able to win re-election just because Donald Trump's on the ticket. It's a big mess the Democrats have gotten themselves into, but the Republicans are more united than ever behind the nominee, but also the VP pick, which this is huge. 51% of Republican voters are enthusiastic about the JD Vance pick. We were told, and I kind of bought into this a little bit, I said he wouldn't hurt the ticket, but I did say maybe he wouldn't help it, or maybe the base wouldn't receive it well. And outside of certain corners on the internet or wherever on both sides, he's been very well received. 43% satisfied, only 6% dissatisfied and angry. Those could be never Trumpers for all we know. Those could be people that still don't trust him, but I think he's an acquired taste, and a lot of people are starting to acquire the taste. And I thought he gave a great speech as well. He's not somebody that goes out there and brings the house down, but it was a heartfelt speech and definitely spoke to middle America, had a lot of great substance in it, and he's somebody who compliments Donald Trump very well. And if Kamala's the VP, he will wipe the floor with her, and it doesn't matter who else she picks as VP, assuming that, there is a chance that Biden gets replaced. I think that JD Vance kind of being this outsider who is anti-establishment going up against somebody who's probably going to be like one of these like establishment Democrats. If Kamala's the nominee, she'll pick like a Andy Bashir, fake moderate, or somebody like Roy Cooper, somebody like that. JD Vance, I really feel like could do well, and that's kind of who he went up against in his Senate election, which he won in an election year which was not really all that favorable for Republican Senate candidates, all things considered. And he went up against a strong candidate in Tim Ryan, who outspent him by a lot of money. He had a divisive primary, still did very well, and did well most comparatively to Trump in the suburbs too. When you talk about the suburbs, seems like a lot of those independent voters, they actually like Vance because, his message is very Trumpian, but in tone and delivery, he speaks a lot more to those kinds of voters and can communicate the message well to them. And that's what Trump needs. That's a I'm going to win pick, not a I need somebody to help me win pick. That's a I'm going to win, because the party's united behind Trump, and they're also going to be united behind Vance. And we've never seen anything like this. Donald Trump polling 3 points ahead of Biden in the popular vote. I mean, that's incredible. And if Biden's the nominee, I think that there's a really big chance that his numbers could dip. And I think it doesn't matter who the nominee is at this point. I think Trump is the clear favorite. We got to vote. But still, Donald Trump out there giving a great speech at the RNC, very heartfelt moments that we saw during the RNC. And in terms of the group, the focus group from CNN, which usually their focus groups have been intentionally skewed against Donald Trump, you had 11 undecided voters. 4 switched to Donald Trump after watching it from undecided. Seemed like one person gave the speech a D. He kind of seemed like a type of guy who would never have voted for Trump in the first place anyways. Probably a CNN plant, which we've known them to do over the years. But still, I mean, the fact that he's able to pick up voters from that speech is great. He gave a speech, the first 20 minutes, very somber, very emotional, very heartfelt. He did the tribute to Corey Comparatori, the firefighter who passed away during the assassination attempt against Trump. And it was very moving, very emotional. And Trump was very emotional. And after that, he kind of went off script a little bit. Some people didn't like that he went off script, but again, in a way, he was able to do one of his rallies in front of 20,000 people, play to the crowd. And if he didn't do that, they may say, oh, it was low energy. People really just want to rip in and criticize into every little possible thing that Trump does. If he gave a 20-minute speech, oh, he doesn't have the stamina to go longer. But if he gives an hour-and-a-half speech, oh, he's going on for too long. Personally, yeah, I think that he could have condensed it, stayed on script more. Maybe it would have been less attackable by some people. But either way, it doesn't matter. The guy's playing with the lead. People love the speech. Most gave it a B grade. Undecided voters giving it a B grade showcases that, yeah, they're not giving it an F grade. They're not, in many cases, giving it a D grade either. They're showing that, oh, it's a decent speech and, oh, this is a different Trump. But in a way, you still had the old Trump return. He's not going to let this change him entirely, and that's probably a good thing. But he did give the, appeal to unity. Then he went off script a little bit. Then he started to hit hard on the issues, the same order that the RNC hit the issues in. The first day was about the economy. Trump had a lot of really good substance on the economy, talking about the issues, talking about protectionism, how he led the country, and how he'll lead it again. And he actually gave an economics lesson about the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, about how it actually raised revenues. I loved that. A lot of that will probably go unappreciated, and that's fine among some people. But I thought he did very well. The appeal to the union workers, and talking about how he's going to be a president for all Americans regarding the economy. Then he talked about the border and the problems with the border crisis, showed the chart. That was another epic moment. That he talked about foreign policy, which is another area that Biden has really, really failed in. And then he had a really, really strong closing. I thought it was a great speech. His 2016 speech at the RNC, I think, was his best speech ever. You're probably not going to be able to replicate that, but that's okay. It was a hell of a lot better than his 2020 speech, which was very unmemorable. And either way, this is a different Trump. This is his final form. He's older now, but he's more measured. He's more determined. And honestly, even though he goes off script, he's entertaining. And he comes off as more presidential than he did back then. And I thought his speech was great. Maybe you could say it could have been a little bit shorter, but the first 20 minutes, that's what a lot of people saw, very, very powerful. And nobody's going to be criticizing its length a week from now. And do you think Biden could go out there and give a speech for even an hour shorter than that? Probably not. I mean, his acceptance speech in 2020 was like 20-some minutes long. So there's that. And like I said, this is probably the best convention of the millennium. Even CNN, even MSNBC, they're forced to say fair and objectively good things about it because that's reality. It was well organized, on message, felt a lot more like 2016. But, 2016 had a lot of controversy. It was not covered in that much of a positive light, even by a lot of these same people. You talk about Ted Cruz's speech, the non-endorsement. You had the plagiarism controversy, which I thought was unfair and overblown, but it did take away from the good moments of it in a lot of people's eyes. And the pre-Trump GOP, we don't even have to cover that. But either way, you had a great night last night. You had Tucker Carlson gave a great speech. Eric Trump absolutely killed it. Hulk Hogan with his epic, ripping of the shirt and unveiling the tank top underneath, talking about Trumpomania is here to stay. That was awesome. A lot of people loved it. And Dana White endorsing Trump, very high energy as well. And then Trump coming out and giving his speech. I thought it was a great night overall, a great RNC. Michael Whatley and Laura Trump really have turned the ship around in such a short time. Could you imagine where we'd be at if we stuck with Ronna Romney McDaniel? It would have been an utter disaster. But, you talk about a lot of people saying, well, what about the 2016 convention and how that was received? How will this one be received? But even Republicans then, only 44% thought they were united. Now that number probably is in like the 80s or 90s. Instead of having Marco Rubio give a tele-speech about how he doesn't like Hillary and Ted Cruz not endorsing Trump and most of the other Trump opponents in the primary not even showing up, you had Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis show up, kiss the ring, and give glowing speeches in favor of Donald Trump. And that was honestly a positive thing to see. And a majority of voters actually left the convention saying it made them think worse of the GOP. So there is a lot of revisionist history about, this convention is not 2016. I thought it was great. I loved it personally. I think that it was the best convention of the three. I thought Trump's 2016 speech, though, that's unmatchable. But, this is a very emotional time, emotional moment. And Trump is playing with a lead. And it's showing. And he wants to keep that lead. And I think he's going to keep that lead. I don't know what we're going to see in terms of a convention bump. I don't know who the Democrat nominee is. But the Republicans are united behind Donald Trump. And I think that he is going to go out there, and I think he's going to win the election. I think he's going to win the popular vote. And at a minimum, some states that we never thought were even close, we're going to see them be surprisingly close, and maybe we could see a flip or two, who knows, especially looking at those Virginia polling numbers. But we'll see. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.